Hello and welcome to the next series of Habits for Health and Success. And I've got another fabulous guest with me, which is Tam. And Tam, do you want to fully introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, and thank you for having me, Sally. So I'm Tam. My background was in the NHS. I worked in the NHS from the age of 18, from leaving college. So I was in with NHS for 22 years, in various different admin roles, not in clinical. So I started off as apprentice in the GP surgery, worked my way up as a receptionist, secretary, office supervisor, and then my last 8 years in the NHS, I was an events coordinator for Hull and East Riding in sexual health, and I left in 2022 after 22 years in the NHS. So and now I've gone into natural health and well-being, natural beauty. So I've got my own business. I'm self-employed, and I run my own health and well-being treatment room from the Willoughby Mercure Hotel. So I've been there for about 2 years now. So yeah, that's it's a bit of a transition from coming from the pharmaceutical world, the NHS, into the natural and well-being space. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey.
So what took you to take that leap? What made you make that leap from? Because obviously you could have left. Everybody knows the stresses that the NHS are under, and but then to go into self-employment, that's quite a big leap, isn't it? So what made you do it?
I'm not going to lie, it was the most scariest thing I've ever done, because I've always ever known the NHS, and not just that. I've always been employed, never
Yes.
been into self-employment. However, back in 2019, I managed to reverse a few of my own health conditions through the natural way. So I was under the NHS, under the dermatologist and ophthalmologist. So I had a condition called keratoconus, which is an eye stigmatism, and I was diagnosed at the age of 18. It was bothering me for a long while, but I was finally diagnosed at the age of 18. And in 2019, I started reversing it through natural health and well-being, through natural means. And I was diagnosed in 2008 with PMLE, which is a autoimmune condition. And which is an allergy to the sun. So it became quite, over time, it got worse and worse, and it was quite severe by the time, I think it was about 2019, I was at my worst. So I just happened to meet people, they're talking about natural health, natural healing, and I just thought, this sounds kind of cool. I'd like to explore. What I didn't realize, it was my intuition that was leading me there, that I needed to explore it so I could reverse some of my own health conditions. And that was just two of the conditions that I had. Along with it, I had that many conditions going on, and I thought they were all isolated conditions. But what I realized over time, that my body was just going into malfunction gradually, slowly. I had adult acne, I had other skin problems, I had IBS, gut issues, anxiety, depression, hair loss. I also had, I used to get cellulitis every summer from insect bites. It would develop into cellulitis, of which I needed antibiotic treatment. Gosh, there's loads. I've probably forgotten loads of other things as well, because it was just, and I didn't realize I was sick. I didn't realize I was sick because it was normal to me. That's all I knew.
It was just adding on to each other. And I was speaking to somebody or something else, and I said we almost sort of, it was about sleep. We almost think that, well, this is the norm because that's what they say, you've got this condition or that condition and it disrupts your sleep. Oh, well, we'll just take that then. We'll just live with that. And that's how we add on, these symptoms add on. So the eye one, you had an eye was it an eye stigma? What just tell me about that.
So that was diagnosed at the age of 18. It was just I couldn't focus, so I needed glasses to correct my vision. And it's basically the shape of my eyes are like a rugby shape. It's not
Right.
rounded. So I tried loads of different lenses. I just never got on with them, to be honest. Glasses, and I was, supposed to be wearing glasses. And in 2017, I had a surgery called surgical cross-linking. It wasn't available to me back then when I was diagnosed. So when it did become available by the NHS, my consultant suggested that I have it done, and he said that it's although my condition is incurable and degenerative in nature, this particular surgery it can stop from the disease progressing further. So where I'm at, it will remain there, or there is a risk of getting worse. So I thought, I'll just go with it. Didn't really think much to it, and I had it done, and it was one of the worst things I could have gone through. It was so painful. I was awake for it. I could see them scraping away my cornea and injecting my eyeballs. It was just awful. It really was such a horrendous experience. And I remember my consultant saying to me at the time that some people say that it's worse than childbirth. And I thought, what does he know? He's a man. And I braved it, went in, and it was horrific. I had some complications afterwards as well, and I feel as though my eyesight got a tad bit worse after the surgery, which that was one of the side effects he told me about, or risks, should I say. So yeah, I had that done. I had it in one eye, and I was down for surgery for the other eye, but then by the time came round to it, and I recovered and I came round to it, it was we were going into lockdown, so all of that was going on, and I didn't see my consultant, because normally I would have a 6-monthly checkup to see how I'm getting on, whether the disease is progressing. So I didn't have a checkup, but in that time, in 2019, I was listening to Tony Robbins. I'm sure you'll know him. I absolutely love that guy. And I was listening to him, and one of his podcasts, he mentioned that he was bedridden at one point in his life. And he was going from rheumatologist to, I think it was fibro he was bedridden with. And he had all these different doctors and consultants he was going to, and there was no cure for what he was going through. Eventually, somehow, I think he got into, he connected with a functional doctor, and they suggested that he does a heavy metal detox. And I thought, that sounds cool. And at the time, I was already partnered with a company that sold a detox pack. So I thought, we've got a detox pack, so I'm going to just give it a go and see how I get on. And at no point did I actually go in with the intention of reversing those conditions, because I got told categorically that keratoconus is a incurable condition and it's degenerative in nature. I was told PMLE, polymorphic eruption. It's also it's an autoimmune condition, and according to medical literature, you can't recover from an autoimmune. You can manage it with drugs, but you can't recover. So at no point did I even think about reversing. I just thought, I just want to get healthier. Let's give it a shot. And obviously, I trust Tony Robbins. He's an amazing guy. I mean, he's in his 60s, and he's just going from strength to strength, isn't he? And he's obviously doing something right. So I thought, right, I'm going to give it a shot. And I kid you not, within a month, and the keratoconus was a byproduct of everything else I was doing. So the first thing I noticed was the PMLE was reversing. So PMLE is basically you can't go in direct sunlight. And over time it got worse. I was using, I started off with using factor 10 sunblock. And over time, it got worse and worse. I had to get stronger and stronger sunblock. And eventually nothing over the counter was working. So
what was happening to your skin when you was doing this? What was going on with your skin? So if you went in the sun, what would happen?
My skin would just erupt in this angry red rash. Sometimes it would break as well from the swelling. And it was awful. It was like heat rash, but 100 times, I used to get lumps and bumps, and blisters, depending on how long. And, it got to a point where I couldn't even go out and peg my washing without being covered. I used to work in the city centre, so I used to, if you imagine the distance between St Stephen's, that's where I used to park, and Wilberforce Health Centre, there's not a massive walk, and I couldn't get from there, from parking my car at St Stephen's through to Wilberforce Health Centre. And you can imagine I actually used to take shortcuts through the shopping centre, so I wasn't in direct sunlight in summer. And I love walking. I absolutely love walking. I couldn't walk in summer, so therefore I used to wait till winter so I could just walk to work. So yeah, and I couldn't, when I'm driving, for instance, I couldn't have my my window open. I used to have the passenger window open because, again, it's direct sunlight. So I would do anything and everything to avoid. When I went to my sister's wedding in Rhodes, I was wearing tops right up to here, to my, covering my entire wrist, up to my wrist, sorry. And my hands, I would apply the sun cream and sunblock and wear massive hats. So it got pretty bad. And yeah, even at that point, I didn't think I could ever reverse it.
You just thought that was it, didn't you? That was just, and that's quite anxiety infusing, it's not the way you want to live, is it? But
no.
You was told no other option at that point other than put sun cream on.
Sun cream, antihistamines, steroid creams, painkillers, anti-inflammatories. So I was just literally pumping, and I noticed, like, over time, the stronger I was taking, I was needing stronger and stronger drugs and steroids and potent creams and stuff, and it just wasn't working. Eventually, like, I couldn't even use antihistamines because even the non-drowsy would make me feel drowsy, so I stopped taking that anyway. And my steroid cream was getting stronger and stronger. My sunblock was getting stronger and stronger, and again, my sunblock, I had to get it especially from my dermatologist. So, and even my scalp, I could feel the burning in my scalp. By 2019, it got that bad. So yeah, so I started this heavy metal detox, and within the first week of starting it, and I was also taking strong, potent, it's escaped me now, antioxidants. I was taking an antioxidant.
And how was you taking these, Tam? What's the heavy metal detox? How was you taking it?
So you could do, there's different forms. At the time, it was a powder form that I was doing. It was just putting it in water and necking it, but also making sure that my diet was clean. So I cut out all processed foods. Sugar's my downfall. I love chocolate, so all of that had to be cut out. All sugars. But what I did do as well, I was fasting. I incorporated fasting alongside it. So I was doing long fasts, I was doing short fasts, I was doing 72 hours, I was doing even longer fasts than 72 hours. So I think my longest fast I did was 5 hours, which is a combination of water and dry fast. So I was just listening, I was tuning into my body, and that was the first time I actually started listening to me and my body and how it was responding, how it was reacting. So, people might think, oh God, 5 days, that's a lot, and it is a lot, and it might not suit everybody. And I still fast quite a bit, and I always listen to my body. I've not managed to do a 5-day fast for a long time because I'm not, my body's not prepared for it, I suppose. And different times, different times in your life, you're only able to do what you can do.
Yeah. But the detox alone can help, can't it? What you did, and you saw something in the first week. You say a difference.
Yeah. So the first week, I could see the difference. I could go out in the sun without any sunblock, because it got to a point where I just thought, as I was starting these natural supplements, and I thought to myself, I don't want these drugs anymore. I really don't want these drugs anymore. And I stopped. I genuinely stopped because it was just making me feel drowsy. It was making me feel sick. It made me feel dirty because the sticky residue, like I'm quite OCD as well. So, I was just sick of being sick, and I was sick of taking pills and potions and stuff. So I just thought, right, okay, I'm just going to just take that out my regime, and I did. And yeah, over time, it just got better and better. I incorporated fruit fast as well, along with my fasting. So I'd break. A full month, I did fasting with fruits only, just to cleanse my body, just to give my, my digestive system a rest. And they say, don't they? It's like with diseases, with illnesses, when you fast, you starve the disease because you're not feeding it. You're literally starving it. And I literally took that on board, and I thought, right, now I'm going to starve you. Because when I realized after the first week, that's when I thought, there's something in this. So I kept on going. So I did a full month of heavy metal detox alongside fasting and fruits as well. And then after that, I started reintroducing normal foods, but healthy foods, healthy choices. But the other thing I did as well was looking at my toxin exposure. So that means in my water supplies. So I started distilling my water, stopped drinking tap water. I looked at my personal care products, from my makeup to my deodorants and skincare, hair care, everything. I looked at everything, and I know it sounds quite extreme and it can be quite overwhelming for people at first. You think, oh my God, I can't use anything, can I? But genuinely, like for me, I'm quite extreme anyway. If I make my mind up about something, this is it. I go cold turkey and I just go the whole hog, or I don't do it. So for me, I just thought, right, I'm just chucking everything out. And I'm going to have to show you some photos, all the stuff, all the products that, high street products. I just literally, I was so ruthless. I dumped everything.
But I suppose for people listening, Tam, they could just start off with small habits. Like you started off with a small habit of the detox, or fasting, or just cutting out the sugar in your diet, just small things. And notice the key bit that you just said as well was you started to notice how you felt. You listen to your body and you use that intuition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let that guide you.
Yeah. I mean, small changes is better than no changes. So eventually, because some people can get overwhelmed, like I say, it depends on what your personality. Me, I go the whole hog and it works for me. Other people, you've got to be patient. You've got to be, and it's not just about patience, it's about cost as well, isn't it? If you just literally chuck out everything. But for me, I found that the more I chucked out, because I was a skincare junkie, I was a product junkie.
Did you get everything all the time? And anything that said they're going to cure it, isn't it? Or somebody says I suffer with eczema, although I'm getting rid of it from various things that I'm doing very similar. But there's so many things where you're like, oh, this says it'll help eczema, and this says it'll help eczema. And it's like, I can't even put that on my skin. Thank God now, and I do it. But you can become that junkie, can't you, of like the next best thing.
I think for me, it wasn't from a health perspective. I was more of the beauty industry junkie. Things that, because I used to suffer with blemished skin and things like that, and I think, oh, this is going to help. So yeah, same thing but different at the same time. But me, I was more beauty, more vanity than health. And there was another friend of mine. We used to literally, something that's new on the market, she'll tell me, I was like, oh, Tam, have you seen this? Or Sarah, have you seen this? And we'd both be just as bad, and we'd both egg each other on. And it's quite funny now because we're both on the same journey now. And I remember when I first told her about, Sarah, this product and that product has this chemical and that chemical, and it's, it's hormone destructive. And she used to say to me, you ruined my life at that point. Making her aware of this, and now she's also a beauty therapist now, and she can't even use it on these products on her clients anymore because of her awareness of how damaging they are. And people might think, oh, it's only a little bit of this, Tam, and it's a little bit of that, a little bit of this and a little bit of that accumulates over time, right? And then it accumulates and accumulates, and if you are not detoxing that stuff out your body, I mean, our body is naturally, it's so smart. It's naturally built so it can eliminate and detox itself without having to take any, fancy supplements, or it's built that way. However, the amount that we're exposed to on a daily, people might not be aware, anything that we put on our skin, it takes about 7 seconds for it to get into our bloodstream. So it's so important that what we put on our skin, you know, we think twice about. So yeah, it's sorry, I've lost my train of thought now.
You're all right. I'm just interested. You went to your month and you noticed differences. What differences did you start to notice in your
What
health?
I wasn't burning anymore. My
Wow.
skin was
Just after a month, you
yeah.
was like,
Well, after a few days, really, because alongside my, you know, heavy metal detox, I was also taking, you know, making sure that I was taking, you know, antioxidant rich supplements. So it was within a week, I was able to go out in the sun. And I just tested it. I thought, I'm going to give this a go. Braved it, didn't put anything on my skin. And I went out, pegged the washing out. And you should have seen me doing this geeky dance because I was able to. And again, it's so weird that even though I was sick, I didn't consider myself sick until I got better.
yeah, well, that's the case, isn't it? You don't really, because you're in it. You just think this is the norm. This is me. This is what I've got.
This
Yeah.
is part of me now, and I can't get rid of it. So I might as well suck it up and just, do you know what I mean? Accept it. But my skin wasn't burning. My sleep started going back to normal. I mean, I didn't mention I was also I was diagnosed with not diagnosed, sorry. I was being investigated for PCOS at the time. Although I wasn't diagnosed, I was being investigated because I had all the typical symptoms of PCOS. I used to have internal polyps, so I used to bleed throughout the month because of the internal polyp, which needed surgical removal. So all these signs were telling me that my body is in a toxic overload, but I didn't know. I didn't know because, again, I just thought they're all isolated issues, but really it's all linked. It's a system issue. So my body was just going into malfunction because of the toxic overload. And all of those things started subsiding. My IBS started subsiding. Sleep got better. My hair stopped falling. My acne went away. You know, all these things. And that's when I realized that, wow, it's actually all connected. You know, I got offered all these different drugs for these different conditions, but really all I needed to do is change my habits, change my lifestyle, tweak my lifestyle, and also do the detox. And everything just started falling into place for me with my health. And I started
you're feeling better. Yeah, you're feeling better.
Thinking clearer. I was responding better to just life. You know, life can get so stressful. Because I didn't have all this load to carry with me anymore, this health load, I was able to, I was just on such a high. And that was 2019, 2020. And then it just, things have just started getting better and better because, again, I'm quite, now because I'm so aware of everything, of all the toxins in our everyday stuff, I'm really quite careful with what I put on my skin, with what I expose myself to, and keeping on top of that. There are times where I'm feeling a bit sluggish, and I know, okay, it's time for you to do a detox, because there's so much we can do within our power. We can do, but there are also external factors. You can't help the environmental stuff. You can't help the water stuff. You can't. Do you know what I mean? So you're always going to be exposed, and for me, it's about damage limitation. What can I do to limit the damage and you know, keep on top of it? So that is, I just keep that in mind now. Don't get too obsessive. There are times that, you know, there are sometimes like perfume, for instance. I don't use perfume every single day because I don't want it on my skin. I don't want to inhale it because, again, of the chemicals. So what do? I use coconut oil on my skin with my favorite essential oil. And that's not, you know, that from a health perspective, that's amazing anyway.
Yeah.
But you also smell lovely. I mean, I often get, you know, asked about my perfume, and it's just essential oils. You know, so there's tweaks, and this is what I do with my clients as well, because I am so passionate about this, and, you know, making people aware that it does matter. It does matter, but I don't want to overwhelm them. And I don't want them to think, oh my God, I'm going to have to spend X amount of money to replace everything. And you don't. Things that we can use from our kitchen cupboards, things that you can eat, you can actually apply on your skin.
Yeah.
I know you got all excited yesterday about tallow.
Yeah. Well, tallow, was a new one to me with eczema.
Mm.
I was only saying today, I use organic castor oil, fully organic oil on my face.
Yeah.
And for reference on my face, I've never been able to put anything on it for the past 10 years. I can manage makeup, so I do wear foundation for some strange reason, and I had to have the same one.
Right.
But I was given a diagnosis of rosacea about maybe about 8 years ago. I have eczema that I've had since a child, but then rosacea came along. And now I know rosacea is also linked to stress. So there's a whole different avenue to go down.
Yeah.
But I use castor oil, I use yam cream, which has got nothing in it. And tallow is another one. So it's all stuff that's got
Mm-hmm.
nothing in it. And I always say the best thing I ever did, which is similar to yours, which I've sort of mentioned to you before, is I was a similar thing with eczema where I was given all sorts of creams, absolutely all sorts, and steroids. And they just, I became allergic to them. I just
Yeah.
constantly became allergic to them. They gave me another one. I would get in the bath with even what people go, oh, just the emulsive type stuff,
Yeah.
which actually are petrol based in reality, but we won't go
Yeah.
into that one. But I would get in the bath and my skin would feel on fire. I would have to lay down after that, soak in the bath to what was meant to relieve my skin,
Yeah.
made it worse. So then I would be back at the doctor, and it was a steroid creams. It's just a vicious circle. And the best thing I ever did was I stopped putting anything on. I just went cold turkey.
Yeah. Same.
And it just cold turkey, nothing. And slowly it started to get better on its own. It ran its own course. And then I started to work on the outside, inside out,
Yeah.
thinking
100%.
about my health, exercise, nature. And now more recently, things like exploring more natural products because I just didn't put anything on. So I went from I didn't do anything. As I'm getting a bit older, I'm like, oh, I could do with a few like little helpers. Castor oil, natural organic castor oil is
Amazing.
brilliant. Getting rid of me wrinkles, honestly. And I was saying today as well, I was telling some doing lymphatic
Yeah.
drainage on your face and just to get rid of that puffiness. You can do
Yeah.
that. It doesn't need any particular product to do
Yeah.
that. So just all that type of stuff. But I had to go out and find that information.
Yeah.
It was them little breadcrumbs like you, where it was like, I listened to something, then I listened to something else, and I thought, do you know what? I think you get into a situation where you think, I cannot be any worse feeling in my skin or the dryness or whatever that is than where I am now. So if I try something else, but I knew that products that had, I used to link it to perfume and stuff, but it was just anything.
Yeah.
I could not, I just had a reaction, do
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, it's really, really just follow the breadcrumbs. Just
Yeah.
take a little bit of time. Now I filter my water. That made a massive difference.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know? I've gone
Mm.
round on into the, but I can't tell you how different. I also, this is me going on about me now, Tam, but with kindred knowledge of knowing,
Yeah.
I had a thing, what they call it. I think it's called ketosis or something like that, where you've got always bumpy skin. So it's like
Right.
little bumpy skin. My
Yeah.
skin now, the first time this year in the last 6 months, and I very much link it to a few different supplements that I take, like Shilajit and stuff, but also the filter in the water. My skin is
Yeah.
now smooth.
Yeah.
I have
Because
no
you're
bumps.
because you're reducing that toxin.
That toxins, the
Yeah.
toxins,
Yeah.
just it's getting minimalized and minimalized.
Yeah.
And the more aware of it I became, the more aware of the allergy type things that I would trigger me. So I love melt, melt on a thing. Love them. Realised it's what's triggering me off my allergy. My eyes are all going.
I can
So
suggest if you love your melts, I can suggest somebody.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's so. But then
Flavouring.
I was like, well, I could just use essential oils and a bit of coconut oil.
Home,
Do you know? So it's just really,
home
really,
fragrance is a massive as well, isn't it? Home
yeah,
fragrance is cleaning products. Now I literally just stick to vinegar, tea tree oil, and bicarb. Very rare that I use bleach now. It's only to unplug, from my plugs and stuff. But otherwise, cleaning products again. Yeah, everything that I look at has got chemicals, and I just think, oh my god, that's adding to the toxic load. But you know what? It's not only has it become easy for me, and I don't know how to use it, but it's less expensive. I'm spending less on my beauty products, and they're blooming working better.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, some of these products, yes, initially you think, oh, that's £10 or whatever. Yeah. Well, you're spending more than that on all these gimmick ones. I can't tell you the amount of products I have bought, put them on my face, for instance, had a flare up. I can no longer use that product. I can't give it to anybody. I can't take it back.
Yeah.
So that's just gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
And you don't have that. You don't have that fear with natural products like your coconut. For me, my favorite all-time favorite beauty product and hack is coconut oil. Now, coconut oil is amazing for all over body moisturizing, for cleansing even. So I just rub it into my face and then use a muslin cloth to exfoliate. So that's my exfoliator as well as a cleanser. Rose water, how inexpensive is that? That's great as again a cleanser, but also a toner. Things like I just use things like anything that I can actually get out of my kitchen cupboard and I can apply on my face, I will, and it works so much better. It's like looking at mascara, for instance, right? That again, it's going back to eye health. People don't understand that. I'd like people to look at heavy metals and eye conditions. It's really telling. So a lot of people with eye problems, they found that they've got heavy metal deposits in the eyes, outside the eyes, and that's what affects our eyesight as well. So again, like I said, when I was doing the heavy metal detox, that was one of the byproducts. My eyes, my eye condition reversing as well.
And so now you don't need to wear anything or do anything for it, or?
I don't wear glasses because your eye becomes lazier as you're wearing. So it's like exercise. When you're lifting muscles, your muscles are engaged. You pump up, right? And it's the same with eye muscles. So that's why I don't wear glasses, although I do for driving. Apart from driving if I'm working at my computer, I'd rather walk away from my computer, give myself a rest. Or when I'm reading, I give myself a rest if my eyes feel a bit tired. I don't wear glasses all the time. I'm supposed to. So eyes are going to take a little bit longer to heal. However, when I went for my last scan, so after lockdown, I went for a scan, and my consultant then, he looked at me, and he's been my consultant since the age of 18, probably a little bit younger actually, 16. He's been my consultant, and now I'm 40. I was discharged at 38. So all these years I've been under the same consultant, and he said in all my time, considering he's been consultant longer than what I've been under him, in all my time I've never come across a patient like you. I've never known anybody to reverse. So he then just discharged me, and he didn't want to know how I did it, why it's happened.
I was going to say, did he not want to know, or was he?
No, he didn't. I tried telling him, but he just kind of shut me off, and I thought, okay. And then he just discharged me, and then a year later, I thought, no, I'm not happy with the discharge because I want to know. That was one scan he did, and he said that it's reversing. It's not completely reversed. So I went back to my GP and I said, can you please refer me, because I'm a bit concerned that he didn't see it through. At least wait until it completely reverses. So my GP referred me back. I went back for my, and I was under another consultant now, and I had another scan. And he said, if I didn't know that you're a keratoconus patient, I wouldn't have known from looking at your scan. So that was it was a relief, but it's also, it was quite frustrating that nobody was still asking. It just said, whatever you're doing, just carry on doing. Didn't want to know. So that was that. So I'm still not discharged, because he said that he's going to monitor me for a couple of years yet, this new consultant, for another couple of years, an annual check. So I'm just about due, I think, for my next scan. So we'll see how that's going. But yeah, I just do a heavy metal detox every 6 months, or might go a little bit longer. The last one I did was quite a while ago, actually. So it's,
so just thinking about that. So when you started, did you do it like, how often did you do it to sort of really kickstart that journey? Did you do it a lot more than that?
I did it for 3 months, 3 months straight up, no break. And because they say it takes about 6 months to detox your. Sorry, not 6 months. Sorry, did I say 6 months? 3 months. 3 months. I did it. It takes about 3 months for your organs to detox. So 2 to 3 months. So I went for the 3 months. Most organs, that is, and like your brain, that can take a little bit longer to detox heavy metals. So yeah, I just went for a standard 3 months detox, and then just repeated that every 6 months. So I was a lot better then, making sure that I'm quite, regularly doing it. So it's lapsed a bit the last year or so. So I think it's been about, I'm gonna say, about 9 months since I last did one. So I know I'm about due, just to keep on top and just maintenance.
And do you notice a difference in yourself when you know that you're ready for that detox? Can you feel, do you in tune sort of with it, or what?
Yes, I think it's mainly like fatigue. I feel that. I feel fatigue, and also sugar cravings as well. I get those now. That sugar cravings are down to usually parasites. That's what they say. They link it to parasites. So I know that if your body is in a toxic state, it's a perfect environment for parasites to live and thrive in. It blocks your body from absorbing nutrients. So any nutrition that you're eating, it's blocked by the mucus that's caused by the heavy metal accumulation in the body. But that mucus also homes parasites. So the parasites will be feasting on the nutrients that you're giving your body. So you're not going to get optimal amount of absorption. So your body will start malfunctioning, and one of the things that I can tell is hair loss and my skin looking tired, and sugar cravings are a biggie. Fatigue. Those are the telltale sign for me. I know that's what I need.
And you've learnt this, haven't you? So this is like a journey of over the years. So people will go on their own journey, won't they? You're never going to just jump to your position where you are now, and the knowledge you've learned this and been sort of taking up lots of little habits along the way that's got you on that journey of knowing. It's starting, isn't it? That's the main thing. Just start.
Just start. And I think just because there's so much information, you can literally drown in the information that's out there, and it's quite contradicting, I find. So some people say, do this, it's amazing, and this person saying it's amazing, but another person will pipe and say, actually, it's not. For me, I had to learn to delve into my intuition. What is my intuition telling me? Does this feel right? And it's really quite hard, isn't it, when there's all this outside noise these days? Like, we're listening to everybody else but ourselves. And for me, everything that I've achieved, reversing of all these conditions and wherever else, yes, I've got crumbs from here, there, and everywhere, and I pieced it all together, and a lot of it was intuition. Like I said, I didn't go out to reverse any of this because I just thought that's it. This is me now for the rest of my life. And it's a good job that I did go with my intuition. I thought, right, I'm going to give this a go, and it worked out really well for me. So yeah, definitely, there's so much information out there. There's so much contradiction out there, but for me, I'll always consult with my own self, with my own intuition, and I don't discount that anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. So, well, you know that you can trust it now, don't you? You sort of took it, and like we all can, Yeah. It's a fabulous journey. I'm sure we could talk for longer, but we've got to keep people like listening. So I know that you're part of something now where these products are available, aren't they? And they're quite easy to take, like the heavy metal detox and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, like, so I left the NHS because, you know, where I'm at now in my journey, it was no longer aligned with where I'm at. So pharmaceutical, yes, I do believe there's a place for it, but I'd like the natural holistic health, and I don't like to call it alternative health because it's not alternative as far as I'm concerned. It's original medicine. It's natural medicine. You know that there's not much space in the pharmaceutical industry for natural health, and there's so much to be said about it. I mean, I've come across so many people that have reversed, you know, cancers, diabetes, other autoimmune conditions naturally, and I just wish there was a space for. Clearly, there's always going to be, you know, I'd say friction between the two worlds. There's always going to be collision. So for me, I had to make a choice. I went over to the natural health because of my own journey, because of my own experiences, and I have you know, my therapy room as well. It's all I'm a huge advocate of natural health, natural beauty, and you know, it just made sense for me to partner with a company that promotes this as well. The natural healing, the vitamins and minerals, skincare and whatnot. So yeah, it sits perfectly with where I'm at now, and you know, it's something that I definitely advocate to you know, promote to my clients as well. And it's nice to see, you know, people making these tiny switches, and you know, before you know it, they're all for the holistic health. And the feedback that I get, I did say I'm going to interview actually one of my clients. I asked him, he's a 64-year-old man, and his health, the turnaround in his health is absolutely amazing. He was on 6 different medication at the time when we first met, and he wanted to come off his medication. So, you know, I told him to go back to his GP, make sure he gets monitored. If that's the decision he's made, he gets monitored. It was heart medication, so he had a heart attack in 2018. Sent him back to his GP, showed, you know, I went on, I don't know whether you've heard of a website called BNF Online. It has, I think, we spoke about it last time, didn't we? BNF Online, we went on there and we looked at all the medication, and we worked out the side effects of the medication, why, you know, went from one medication to another. And he decided by the end of it, like, look, I want to be healthy. So I said, go back to your GP, get them to monitor you, do the blood tests, blood pressures, ECGs, whatever that needs doing, go and have it done. Make sure you don't come off your medication, because that's something else. Skin products like eczema and, you know, what I was going through, it's completely different to, you know, you've got to be really careful. So he had his blood tests, and he was having 2 weekly blood tests, monitoring ECGs, and gradually he came off his medication. He's now completely medication free, and on supplementation, and just maintaining his health through supplements that promote health, heart health, circulation, because he had blood pressure as well. It's just fantastic, you know. There are other ways, and I want people to know that there are other options that people can take. It doesn't necessarily have to be pharmaceutical drugs, because they do come with side effects as well. So it's just making that informed decision and knowing what's out there. There are other things that you can do. You know, things that you can just change, tweak in your own lifestyle, in your diet, to maintain your health.
And having a choice, isn't it? That's the other side to it.
At the end of the year. Yeah. So
brilliant. Thank you, Tam. So you're on Facebook, aren't you? And
yes.
Instagram. Are you on Instagram, or are you just on Facebook?
Yes. Be Natural Beauty and Wellbeing.
Yeah. To find you. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for speaking to me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It wasn't as scary as I thought.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.